Hello, I'm Dr. Stephen Andrew Missick. I'm running for Texas State Legislature in HD 18. And I want to talk about our need to abolish property taxes in the state of Texas. My father passed away a couple of years ago, and I've been paying my property taxes on the family property, and they are exorbitant. This is exploitative, confiscatory taxation. It's ridiculous. People boast, it's like, oh, there's no income tax in Texas. But we have brutal, excessive, exploitative taxes on our property. And something has to be done. We need to reduce property taxes in the state of Texas. Recently, I went to the Liberty County Republican Party, their monthly meeting, and it was a great experience. We got to censor Dave Felon for his work against the Republican Party, condemned him as a rhino, but they had a great presentation by Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, and we talked about a lot of things. It was a great presentation, very educational and stimulating, I guess is a way to put it, thought-provoking. But one of the things that we went through was property taxes in the state of Texas, and he was talking about certain promises these greedy politicians are making, because it's a big issue. It's like the number one issue for Texans. It's like we're paying too much for our property taxes. It's exploitative. It's ridiculous, and it's unacceptable. And one of the things they say, and it's true, is you don't own property in Texas. The state of Texas owns your property, and you pay rent on it. And if you don't, they're going to kick you out of your own property. It's horrible. And I think we've seen this last year. It's pretty sad. People think of Texas as a red state, as a conservative state. But our Texas state legislature, there's so many Republicans in name only. They allow the Democrat agenda to go forward. They don't fight for Republican principles. It's really corrupt, and it's sad. And one of the things that came across in this presentation was the false promise. They should give you the false promise of property tax relief. Oh, we're going to reduce your taxes. And one of the things they did is, we're going to reduce your taxes in Austin, but they don't have any restrictions on the county, right? So there's no enforcement mechanism for them to do that, which is on purpose, right? Oh, we voted to reduce your taxes, but we're going to allow the local magistrates and assessors to do whatever they want, but, talking out of both sides of their mouth. And I saw that. I was looking at the tax form. It's like, it doesn't matter what the Texas state legislature says. We're the ones who are going to, you pay these taxes to us. They have no say in the matter. Of course they have say in the matter. But they don't want to address the issue. So they're allowing, they're lying to us. We're addressing it, but they're not. Unless they bring the limitations in the local area, then they're not really addressing the problem. And what we have is the Lucy and Charlie Brown the football thing. So the Republican Party, or these candidates, the football is, property tax reduction. This is the promise, and come on, Charlie Brown, come and kick the ball, and then they take it away at the last minute. You fall on your butt, and it's difficult, especially the economy as it is right now. This is a horrible, oppressive burden. So when you realize you're being played, that they're not going to reduce property taxes, and when they do it, they take it down a little bit, but then it goes up even higher after 3 or 4 years. So they have no intention of addressing the issue, addressing the needs of the voters of the Republican Party and just citizens of the state of Texas. So when I was thinking about running, it's like, what I'm going to do is we need to address property tax reduction. But now I realize that we need to totally abolish property taxes in Texas. And when I win, I'm going to propose legislation that does just that. Will it pass? I don't know. I'm going to propose it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in there, and as a legislature, I'm going to submit a bill to abolish property taxes. It has to be done. We need to have a movement to totally get rid of property taxes in Texas. And honestly, if I had to pay $1,000 or less on the property, it's like, I want to be a patriotic citizen. I want to support my community. If this is what I'm obligated to pay. But when it's confiscatory and burdensome and oppressive and just absurdly high amounts where they're trying to tax you out of your property, and then my father's property, he slaved on that to purchase that property and to build this house and these structures for my family, and they're going to tax us. It's not right. Tax us off my inheritance, my family legacy. It's not right. And I've fallen on hard times. It's difficult. It's difficult to pay these exorbitant property tax rates. I was talking to a friend of mine. He has just a little house today. It's a soldier I served with in Iraq. And I thought I had it bad. He's paying like twice as much as I do for his little house. And he has a family to support. This isn't right. And then, so I'm sitting here and I'm listening to this presentation by Texans for Fiscal Responsibility. And then they show, it's like, what are these taxes going for? It's like, well, some of the things is like for the local schools and things like that. And it says, we can't budget other funds we don't really need to use property taxes to fund these. We can allocate funds differently to fully provide for the funding for education and other needs in the area. So it's not necessary. And the other thing he was talking about was they have a tax surplus. Oh, this year we got, I don't know exactly how much it is. It's like, I think it's around $20 million. And so he's saying, it's like, okay, they overtaxed us. They overtaxed us $20 million. It's like, well, why can't they give it back to us or use that towards our next year's property taxes, right? Give us a credit for it with all that extra, that millions upon millions of dollars that you overtaxed us. And they are overtaxing us on our property taxes. And, I was thinking about this. If we can't address it, then we need to, if they can't reduce these rates, then we need to abolish the property taxes. They're not going to reduce property taxes. We're being played. And I know that Jesus said, love your enemies and turn the other cheek. But I don't think it's Christian to allow somebody to lie to you, to take advantage of you, or to play you. You have to stand up on your own integrity and say no. And beyond that, we're standing up for our fellow citizens who are being abused by the state of Texas. Our government is supposed to be answerable to us. And these are oppressively high taxes. And so I'm sitting there and it's like, okay, we can fund, using other means, fully fund our government and our schools. We can distribute the funds in different ways to meet all these needs. So I'm saying, why do we have these high property taxes? If that's the truth, let's do it. Let's do it. We don't need property taxes at all. We don't need a state income tax either. And like I said, if these taxes were reasonable, I wouldn't mind paying. It's like, I'm a patriot, I'm a citizen, I want to support my community, I'm going to pay taxes. But then when they're exorbitant, and then you realize that they're lying to you, they have no interest really to reduce taxation to a reasonable rate, and you realize it's like, okay, we're going to abolish these taxes. And this presentation that I went through, the Texans for Fiscal Responsibility, is really good. And these things that we're doing is the whole government right now. It's not sustainable. We're growing our government too big, and we're about to face a crisis very soon. The dollar is a reserve currency. We have these BRICS nations. It's a new alliance, an anti-American alliance between Brazil, Russia, China, Korea, and South Africa. That's the acronym, the BRICS nations. So we have a new alliance, anti-American alliance that's growing. and one of their goals is to displace the American dollar and to create a new, what will be a global currency that'll likely be backed on precious metals and have an intrinsic value, unlike the current American dollar. So we face peril. We got to bring spending under control, or try to. That's what it used to be before W. Bush. Republican Party's like, we need to have fiscal responsibility, and that's like gone out the window. I remember Paul Ryan's like, oh, fiscal responsibility, fiscal conservatism, and then he becomes Speaker in the House, and it is an ungodly amount of money. He has this, we're going to pass an omnibus bill, which is like, greater than the entire value of planet Earth, practically. And it's like, this man, his whole political career is talking about fiscal conservatism, and then he throws it all out the window, showing that he never really meant it in the first place. But the thing is, we're going to foot the bill. And, people say, oh, we're creating hard times by our fiscal irresponsibility. We're going to create hard times for our children or grandchildren. That's not true. It's going to come upon us, and it can come upon you sooner than you expect. So we need to be preparing now, and we should be, what they do in Austin, all these rhinos, they say one thing, do something else. We need to do what we say we're going to do. I mean, do we really care? Do we believe in these ideas or not? And you can't allow yourself to be robbed. It's not moral, it's not decent, it's not Christian. And you have to stand up for yourself. We need to tell Austin no. And if you vote for me, when I win, I'm going to go to Austin and I'm going to propose a bill abolishing property taxes. I'm just going to get rid of them. That's what we have to do. And and once we look, even if they reduce, they've taken this way too far, and we need to hold them accountable. And I hope the reaction would be as they finally seriously start addressing the issue and start reducing property taxes. But even if they do, that's not enough. They need to be held accountable, and we need to get rid of property taxes in Texas 100%. Like I said, you don't really own your property. You own it. You don't own it. The state of Texas owns it, and you pay them rent every year. And this is theft. It's wrong. It's immoral, and we need people to fight for our citizens, fight for Texans, and hold Austin accountable, and abolish this overly oppressive system of taxation. It's got to end, and I will do what I can to end it. And I think if somebody goes into Austin and proposes with legislation the ending of property taxes, perhaps these issues can finally be seriously addressed. But I think we need to have a movement, and we have to stop at nothing to abolish property taxes in Texas. It's out of control, it's out of hand, and we need to bring them into it. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to work to abolish property taxes in Texas. It's offensive to me. Watching this presentation, and you realize that the Republican Party and the rhinos in Austin, they're doing the Lucy, Charlie Brown, and the football thing. Okay, here's the football. The football is property tax relief, and then they snatch it out in the last minute and they laugh at you while you fall on your butt. And how many times I'm not going to be Charlie Brown. How many times do we have to fall for this? We're not going to fall for it anymore. We're going to stand up for our citizens, and we're going to liberate the citizens of Texas from onerous and oppressive taxation. So vote for me if you're concerned, if you want somebody that's actually going to go into Austin and tackle this issue and introduce legislation to abolish property taxes. I will do that, because this is something that, it's a big burden I have to face. I heard that when my opponent, the incumbent, somebody says, look and see what he's doing. He's not paying the same rate everybody else did. It's like, hey, that's how liberals are, right? Rules for thee and not for me. But I'm going to take a stand, and we're going to stop. I'm going to do everything I can to abolish property taxes in Texas. Now, I have other videos. I have books and materials, pamphlets, and booklets about my legislative priorities. So you can contact me or watch these videos and support me as we make Texas great again.